Levi obediently hands over the temporal cicada. I will not torment you, and let you die a quick death. Levi, don't try to resist. Today, the major sects of the righteous path have united to crush your lair. A heavenly net has already been cast here. This time, you will surely meet your end. Levi wore a tattered emerald green robe, with disheveled hair and covered in blood. He looked around. Enemies surrounded him. He had no way out. Levi looked at the green mountains and setting sun, giving a gentle smile. Green mountains, setting sun, autumn moon, spring breeze. Morning is like green silk, evening turns into snow. Success and failure are empty at the end. When saying these words, suddenly, various scenes from his past life on Earth appeared before his eyes. He was originally a student on Earth. By a twist of fate, he was reborn into this world. After experiencing ups and downs for 300 years, he roamed the world for over 200 years. More than 500 years pass by leisurely, yet time flies in the blink of an eye. Legend has it that there is a river of time in this world, supporting the circulation of this world. By harnessing the power of the temporal cicada, one can reverse the flow of time and return to the past. There are divergent opinions among the people regarding this rumor. Many do not believe it, while some remain skeptical. Because every time someone uses the temporal cicada, they must sacrifice their life, offering up their entire body and all of their cultivation as the power source. He ultimately failed. Levi took out the temporal cicada. He threw it away without any hesitation. Those so-called noble families of the righteous path, one by one revealed what it means to have a wicked nature. They crazily rushed towards the temporal cicada. But just as they were about to seize the long-awaited prize, the temporal cicada actually exploded in midair. Levi couldn't help but burst into laughter at the scene. If the newly refined temporal cicada is effective, I will survive to become a devil in my next life. With a loud bang, Levi activated the temporal cicada and detonated it at the dangerous mountain top. Just then, fragments of memories from the river of time emerged in Levi's mind. He unexpectedly arrived in this world. He lost his parents when he was 3 years old. Fortunately, his uncle and aunt adopted him, which could be seen as a silver lining in the misfortune. However, the truth is that his uncle and aunt took advantage of the guise of raising him to unlawfully seize his parents' inheritance. They also treated him and his younger brother harshly, with his uncle even beating him severely for just stealing a little food. Levi begged for mercy from his aunt. They never treated their brother as a human being from start to finish. The way they lived was unbearable for anyone to witness. Originally, as a reborn person, he still planned to bide his time and build up his strength. But the hardships of life. This forced Levi to reveal his extraordinary talent different from others. Have you not seen it? The waters of the Yellow River come from the sky, flowing to the sea never to return. Once this kind of poetry that can be handed down through the ages is expressed, it attracts wide attention. Under external pressure, young Levi had to choose to be indifferent to disguise and protect himself, reducing the chance of exposing vulnerabilities. Over time, indifference has become his habitual expression. However, these poems are not his original creations. The exposed talent also aroused the jealousy of young brother. Attitude is a mask of the heart. Levi can only compromise with young brother. As the aftermath of the explosion of the temporal cicada fades away, only the giant crater is left with no sign of Levi. A person muttering to themselves, but the horror in their tone is too obvious. If what the temporal cicada has spread is true, this devil will surely harm the people. The spring rain is continuous, quietly nourishing Moon Mountain Village at Qingmeng Peak from 500 years ago. In the very center of Moon Mountain Village stands a magnificent and majestic building. At this moment, a grand sacrificial ceremony is being held there, making the lights even brighter and more dazzling. The Moon Clan leader is dressed in a solemn white sacrificial robe, kneeling on the brownish-yellow floor. He kept his upper body straight, with his hands clasped together, closing his eyes tightly in sincere prayer. May the ancestors bless us. I hope that in this awakening ceremony, more outstanding young people with great aptitude will emerge, adding new blood and hope to the family. Behind him, more than 10 people are also kneeling. They are wearing loose white ceremonial robes. They are all clan leaders and spokespersons in the family, holding power in various aspects. The ceremony is over. People slowly stand up from the floor and quietly walk out of the solemn ancestral hall. In the corridor, the clan leaders of various families silently breathe a sigh of relief. Time passes by so quickly. Tomorrow is the annual awakening ceremony. Yes. Over the years, geniuses have emerged from the White Village and the Bear Village. Especially the talent of Ruby from the White family is truly terrifying. In just 2 short years, she has cultivated to become a third enhanced Gu master, leading the younger generation. Even the older generation can feel the pressure from this rising star. Given time, she will surely become the pillar of the White Village. At the very least, he is a strong player in his own right. No one has ever doubted this. At this time, a clan leader mused. However, this year's young participants in the awakening ceremony also have hope. I heard that the Fong family has a genius child. They can talk at the age of 3 and walk at the age of 4. He can write poetry and recite classical Chinese poems at the age of 5. Moreover, he has great ambitions. In recent years, I have also heard about the poems he has created. He is truly a genius. Moon Clan leader was the last one to walk out of the ancestral hall. Slowly, he closed the door. He then heard the voices of the clan leaders in the corridor. He knew immediately. The clan leaders are currently discussing a young man named Moon Levi. If this boy tests out as grade 1 aptitude, he will definitely become the hope of our clan. This idea emerged. Moon Clan leader then coughed. He said to all the clan leaders, "Everyone, it's getting late. In order to prepare for tomorrow's the awakening ceremony, please make sure to rest well and take care of yourselves tonight. But let me be clear up front. We should compete in a fair and honorable manner. Using underhanded tactics to harm the unity of the clan is not allowed. Please keep this in mind, clan leaders." The clan leaders were slightly taken aback by these words. A hint of vigilance could be seen in their eyes as they looked at each other. Then, deep in thought, the clan leaders dispersed. The long corridor became quiet. The spring rain and wind blew in through the window. A clan leader walked lightly to the window. This was on the 3rd floor of the attic. Looking out, the clan leader could see most of Moon Mountain Village at a glance. Reflecting in their eyes were the lights of the clan leaders' residences. With a long sigh, the clan leader murmured, "This is the hope for the future of our clan." And at this moment, a young man suddenly stood up. 500 years ago, in Moon Mountain Village, the temporal cicada really works. Levi walked to the window, letting the wind and rain hit his body. The temporal cicada was just recently mastered. I didn't expect to use it so soon. You want to place me in a deadly situation. You planned well for my demise. Have you not heard that there's always a way out in desperate times? As long as I want to leave, the road is right beneath my feet. Although everything will start anew. But what does that matter? The road ahead is full of dangers. Now take steps from the beginning. Danger gives one a unique strength. My heart still looks up to the sky. Let them face 1,000 difficulties. Let them face a myriad of dangers. I am already on the road. Even if I die 100 times, I will have no regrets. Levi gazed steadily at his own young, pale, somewhat tender palm. Then he slowly clenched his fist, feeling the reality with force. It's just a pity that this temporal cicada did not reincarnate with me. But even if it's gone, I still have the memories of my past life. I can start over, and even have a chance at the Great Tao. Just then, the door was gently pushed open, and a young man walked in. "Big brother, why are you standing by the window in the rain?" Levi turned around and looked at the young man, a hint of complexity flashing across his face. "It's you. Do you need something?" My young brother Liam lowered his head, looking at his toes, his signature move. Seeing that his brother's window was left open, he quietly came in to close it. Tomorrow is the awakening ceremony. Big brother, why aren't you resting so late? Uncle and aunt would worry if they knew. Levi said coldly. It's unnecessary. Step back. Liam was startled by his brother's indifference. Although his brother had always been like this since childhood, he just couldn't get used to it. Sometimes Liam would think, maybe genius is just this kind of extraordinary person. Although he has a striking resemblance to his brother, he feels ordinary like an ant. They were born from the same womb. Why is heaven so unfair, granting his brother talents as brilliant as diamonds? And he felt ordinary, like a stone, even to the point of sometimes looking in the mirror and feeling a sense of disgust at his own face. Levi actually understands his younger brother's thoughts. It's ironic that his younger brother fails to see this truth. He was not only deceived by his uncle and aunt, but also harbored resentment towards himself. Don't be fooled by his current obedient appearance. After being identified as having grade 1 aptitude in his memory, he was heavily nurtured by the family. The hidden hatred and jealousy were all unleashed. He did not hesitate to target and make things difficult for his own elder brother. The people in the procession are knocking rhythmic gongs. The sound echoes into the tall, stilted building. Levi opened his dry eyelids and went to the window. In his heart, he muttered that it was already the small hours of the morning. The spring rain outside has already stopped. Mixed with the scent of soil, trees, and wildflowers, the fresh moisture instantly struck his face. Just at this moment, a girl's voice came from downstairs. Young Master Levi, you are awake. I will come upstairs now to serve you with washing and grooming. Levi glanced down and saw his personal maid Luna, whose appearance could only be considered average. Luna was serving gently with a smile on her face. Levi's face is expressionless, with a heart as calm as still water. This maid is not only an informant for the uncle and aunt, but also admires vanity, and has a cold personality. In the previous life, I was deceived by her. After the awakening ceremony, my status plummeted, and she immediately turned against me. She didn't hesitate to give me hostile looks. At this moment, Liam, who happened to pass by, saw Luna smoothing out the wrinkles on Levi's chest clothing. A hint of envy and jealousy flickered in his eyes involuntarily. The clothing was already neatly arranged. Luna was more about seduction. Levi said coldly, No need. You may leave. Luna pouted slightly, feeling somewhat strange and aggrieved by Levi's inexplicable mood today. She wanted to say something coquettish, but found herself captivated by Levi's elusive demeanor. She opened her mouth several times. In the end, she uttered, I'm sorry, and obediently stepped back. Levi looked at Liam. Are you ready? The younger brother stood dully at the door, lowering his head to look at his own toes. He softly murmured in agreement. Levi nodded. The young brother's thoughts in his heart were not clear to him in his past life. But how could he not understand in this life? However, it was meaningless to break it at this moment. He gave faint orders. Let's go then. So the two brothers walked out of the residence. Along the way, they ran into many people of the same age. Groups of 3 or 4 gathered together, whispering and pointing at them. Look, there go the Fong family brothers. And ahead of them is that Levi, the poet. So that's him. He really does have that aloof and indifferent look, just as the rumors say. Liam listened expressionlessly. By this time, the first light of dawn was breaking on the horizon. Levi's shadow fell on his face. But Liam suddenly felt that he was heading towards darkness. This darkness came from his brother. Perhaps in this lifetime, he could never escape the enormous shadow cast by his brother. He felt waves of oppression in his chest. He even had difficulty breathing. Levi listened to the discussions around him with a cold smile in his heart. Such discussions. It's true that if one stands out in the forest, the wind will inevitably blow against it. No wonder he found himself surrounded by enemies after testing his grade 3 aptitude. For a long time, he endured sneers and cold treatment. He suddenly realized that his uncle and aunt were quite cunning. They assigned Luna to monitor him closely, and an old nanny to look after his young brother. In fact, there were also other differences in treatment in daily life details. This was all intentional. They wanted to provoke a sense of unfairness in the heart of the young brother, and sow discord in his relationship with his own brother. People are not troubled by the lack, but by inequality. In the past, I experienced too little, and the young brother is too naive and innocent. He was successfully manipulated by the uncle and aunt. But in this life, this young brother can be completely suppressed and subdued. Luna, a young maid, can be brought into the harem earlier. There are also the uncle, aunt, and clan leader. As long as I want to, with my formidable skills in demonic cultivation, I can manipulate the entire Qingmong Peak in the palm of my hand. But they are also worthy. In this vast river of time, they are nothing but insignificant scum. Calculating, they are just wasting their lives. But that being said, if anyone dares to block my path, I will make sure they die 10 times over. The sun rises, and the rosy light spreads out. More than 115-year-old teenagers are now gathered in front of the main hall of the clan leader's house. This is the central hub of power for the entire village. Responsible for this trip is the Academy Moon Master. Very good. Everyone has arrived on time. Today is the awakening ceremony, which is a significant turning point in your lives. Let's not talk too much. Follow me. He led them through an entrance in the lobby and continued downstairs. Following the well-built stone stairs, they entered the underground cave. The young men all exclaimed in amazement. The underground cavern is splendid and magnificent. As they walked, Moon Master narrated the story. Hundreds of years ago, the Moon Clan migrated from the Central Plains to the southern frontier and settled here at Qingmong Peak. They were attracted by the spiritual spring in the underground cavern, which can be considered the foundation of Moon Mountain Village. It is because the spiritual spring can produce a large number of essence stones, providing a continuous supply of resources for cultivation. Cultivation is the most resource-intensive practice for Gu masters. So children, you must remember that resources are the most important no matter where you are. They walked for hundreds of steps. The light in front of them grew dimmer, and they faintly heard the sound of water. Turning around the corner, an underground river over 10 meters wide appeared before everyone's eyes. On the opposite bank of the river is a vast sea of moon orchids, which are the main food for many Gu worms. This flower sea can be said to be the family's largest breeding ground. The young people have really broadened their horizons. Their eyes are shining brightly. They are both excited and nervous. Moon Master bowed to the clan leader, who had been waiting for a long time. The clan leader nodded and gave the order to begin. Moon Master spoke loudly. All right. Next, listen to me announce the registration. Those called upon will cross this river to the other side. They will go as far as they can, the farther the better, of course. Is everyone clear on the instructions? The first one is Moon Bob. Bob stepped onto the river bank with a serious look on his face, heading towards the sea of flowers. The river may be wide, but it is not deep. It only reaches up to the knees of a young person. But suddenly, he felt an invisible pressure. It's as if there is an invisible wall blocking his way forward. He was struggling to take a step forward. A cluster of light suddenly emerged from the flower sea at his feet and gathered towards Bob, then entered his body. Bob instantly felt the pressure greatly reduced. The invisible barrier suddenly became soft. He gritted his teeth and pushed forward with all his might. He forced himself to squeeze in. After taking 3 steps, the pressure ahead increased dramatically. Just like before, it was as impenetrable as a wall, and there was no room to go any further. Seeing this scene, Elder sighed. He recorded on the spot and said, Moon Bob. 3 steps. No Gu Master aptitude. Next. Moon Noah. Soon after, Moon Noah returned with a disappointed look on his face because he hadn't taken a single step forward. Next, Academy Elder called out the third name, Moon Michael. A horse-faced boy in coarse linen clothing. With a light shout, he stood out from the crowd. He is tall and sturdy, much more robust than his peers, emanating a hint of bravery. He took a total of 36 steps. Finally, he crossed the river and stepped onto the other side. The young people on the other side of the river were dumbfounded. The Academy Elder shouted with joy. "Very good, Moon Michael Grade 2 Aptitude. Come here. Let me see your origin see." Moon Master reached out and placed his hand on the young man's shoulder. He closed his eyes and concentrated to probe for a while before withdrawing his hand. He recorded it on paper. Moon Michael origin C 66%. Can be cultivated vigorously. This aptitude is graded from grade 1 to grade 4 from top to bottom. Below 10 steps is grade 1 aptitude. From 10 steps to 20 steps is grade 4. A youth with grade 4 aptitude, after 3 years of cultivation, can be promoted to become a senior Gu Master of the first enhancement, becoming the cornerstone of the family. A youth with grade 3 aptitude, after 2 years of cultivation from 20 steps to 30 steps, mostly can become a second enhanced Gu Master and become a backbone of the family. From 30 steps to 40 steps, a youth with grade 2 aptitude needs to be taken care of. They often need to be nurtured as future elders. With 6 or 7 years of effort, they can become a third enhanced Gu Master. As for a youth with grade 1 aptitude, even if one appears, it is a blessing for the whole family. They need careful attention and allocation of resources. In about 10 years, they can become a fourth enhanced Gu Master and compete for the position of clan leader by that time. Half an hour later, already half of the youth have stepped into the flower sea, and many with grade 3 and grade 4 aptitudes have emerged. Of course, almost half of them have no aptitude at all. Clan leader sighed deeply. There's nothing we can do. The bloodline is getting thinner and thinner. Plus, in recent years, the clan has not seen a few fourth enhanced strongmen to strengthen the bloodline. The 4th generation clan leader is the only 5th enhanced expert. However, he perished alongside the pleasure-seeking wanderer, leaving no descendants to carry on the bloodline. The younger generation of the Moon clan is showing increasingly weaker aptitude. Just at this moment, the Academy Elder shouted, "Moon Cameron!" Upon hearing this name, Levi glanced over in the corner of his eye. This is the grandson of Elder Moon Charles. Moon Cameron is short in stature, with a pockmarked face. He clenched his fists with a sweaty face, looking particularly nervous. He took 36 steps in a row and stepped onto the opposite bank. Light spots were scattered into his body one after another. The young men suddenly became agitated. Another grade 2. Moon Charles even shouted loudly, "Ha ha! 36 steps." Levi looked pensive as he gazed at Moon Cameron on the opposite shore. He was harshly punished by the clan for cheating in the awakening ceremony. In fact, his aptitude was only grade 3, but his grandfather Moon Charles falsified it for him, creating the illusion of a grade 2 aptitude. Moon Charles has always been in conflict with Moon Mason. These two elders are the two biggest factions in the family. In order to suppress his opponent, he needs his grandson, aptitude, to excel. It is also because of his cover in the background that Moon Cameron is able to conceal for a while. In his memory, if it weren't for that accident, he wouldn't have been exposed. Levi's eyes are shining brightly. He is considering how to use this to gain the greatest advantage. He is pondering. He suddenly heard Academy Elder calling out his name. Moon Levi. For a moment, everything fell silent. Countless gazes were cast upon him. Levi chuckled to himself. It was getting more and more exciting. He waded through the river under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Suddenly, he felt a layer of pressure. The pressure comes from the spiritual spring deep in the flower sea because the energy is too concentrated and abundant, leading to the pressure. When this pressure becomes unbearable, the Hope Goo will appear. Each light spot is a goo. They come from the oldest legend. Legend has it that when this world was newly formed, wild beasts roamed the wilderness. The first human, named Ancestor, appeared. He ate raw meat and drank blood, facing very difficult living conditions. Especially with a group of wild beasts called Dilemma. They always wanted to eat him. Ancestor does not have a body as strong as a mountain or the sharp teeth and claws of a wild beast. How can he fight against this group of wild beasts called Dilemma? He is at the lowest end of the food chain in nature. He can barely survive. At this moment, 3Gu actively approached Ancestor and said, "As long as you use your life to nourish us, we will help you get through this difficult situation." Ancestor, in desperation, had no choice but to agree to these 3Gu. He first used his own youth to nourish the largest of the 3Gu. That Gu brought him power, and with the power, his life began to improve under the guidance of the Power Ancestor. He is brave and fierce, defeating many dilemmas. But he soon discovered that power is not omnipotent. It also needs restoration and nurturing. It cannot be squandered at will. And for the entire dilemma beast herd, his power is simply too small. The Ancestor, deeply hurt by the pain, decided to use his most energetic middle-aged self to provide for the most beautiful of the 3 Gus. As a result, the second Gu bestowed upon him wisdom. With wisdom acquired, the Ancestor learned to contemplate and reflect, and began accumulating experiences. He discovered that many times, using wisdom is more effective than using power. But the good times did not last. The Ancestor grew old, older and older. This is because he dedicated his youth and middle age to Power Gu and Wisdom Gu. "What else can you bring us, human? You have nothing else to offer us." After realizing this, both Power Gu and Wisdom Gu coldly left. Ancestor lost power and wisdom. He was discovered by Dilemma again and became surrounded by the pack of beasts. He's old now, unable to run anymore. His teeth have all fallen out, unable to even chew wild fruits and vegetables. He collapsed weakly on the ground, surrounded by a dense crowd of dilemmas. His heart was filled with despair. At this moment, Gu Third spoke to him. "Man, you worship me. I can help you get out of the dilemma." Ancestor shed tears and said, "Gu, what else do I have? Look, Power Gu and Wisdom Gu have both abandoned me, and all that's left is old age. But if I offer my old age to you, my life will end immediately. Although I am currently surrounded by dilemma, I will not die for the time being. I still want to live a little longer, even if it's just for a second. So you can leave. I can no longer serve you." But Gu said, "Among the 3 Gus, my request is the smallest. Human, you just need to entrust your heart to me." The Ancestor hesitated for a moment. "Then I will entrust my heart to you. But Gu, what can you bring me?" "In this current desperate situation, even if Power Gu and Wisdom Gu return to my side, it won't change anything. Compared to Power Gu, this Gu's body is the weakest. It's just a small light spot, but when a person entrusts their heart to this Gu, it suddenly blooms with infinite light. In this light, the dilemmas scream in fear. This is when Hope Gu quickly retreats." The Ancestor was stunned. From that moment on, he knew that when facing dilemmas, he should entrust his heart to Hope. And at this moment, the combined Hope Gu had already entered Levi's body in the form of a stream of light. Levi suddenly felt the pressure ease slightly. He increased his pace and continued forward. With every step he took, continuous streams of Hope Gu would soar out of the sea of flowers and merge into his body, joining the orb of light. But the person in charge on the other side of the bank frowned. "The number of Hope Gus seems a bit low." Clan leader also frowned. This is by no means the aura that a grade 1 aptitude should have. Levi continued to move forward under pressure. "I have taken 23 steps from grade 1 to 40 steps to 50 steps so far." Levi silently counted in his heart. When he reached the 27th step, he seemed to hear a loud bang. The ball of light accumulated between his belly and kidneys reached its limit and suddenly exploded. This explosion happened only inside Levi's body. Outsiders couldn't perceive it at all. Only Levi felt earth-shattering wonder in that instant. At this moment, his whole body's hairs stood on end, pores closed tightly. His mind was like a bowstring suddenly pulled taut. Soon after, his mind went blank, and his whole body felt as if it had fallen into the clouds. Awake succeeded. This is the hope of immortality. Levi only took 27 steps and then broke through. The feeling of the empty aperture is extremely mysterious. Although it is housed in Levi's body, it does not exist in the same space as the 5 viscera and 6 bowels. You can say it is infinitely large. Some people call it Purple Mansion, but more people call it Origin C empty aperture. The entire empty aperture is spherical. The surface of empty aperture flows with white light, which is a layer of light film. It is the light formed by the previous explosion of the hope goo, which is what sustains empty aperture from collapsing. Inside empty aperture is naturally the origin C. This is the bronze true origin condensation that only first enhanced goo masters have. It is commonly known as the bronze C. Each drop of seawater represents true origin, symbolizing the condensation of Levi's vitality and spirit. It signifies the life potential he accumulated over the 15 years. Goo masters use this true origin to activate goo worms. In other words, from this moment on, Levi has officially entered the ranks of first enhancement goo masters. Empty aperture has been opened. There is no longer any hope goo entering Levi's body. Levi retracts his mind. He only feels a strong pressure ahead, as if hitting a solid wall. He can't move forward anymore. He smiled indifferently at this outcome, just like in past lives. Academy Elder shouted from the other side of the bank. "Can't you keep going?" Levi turned around without a word, answering him with actions. This stirred up a huge commotion among the crowd. Levi took 27 steps. It is unbelievable that he only has grade 3 aptitude. Such a genius is only grade 3. Moonliam looked up in shock, staring at Levi returning from crossing the river. He couldn't believe what he saw before him. His own brother is actually only a grade 3. Moon, the clan leader, clenched his fists in anger. Damn it. He's only a grade 3 after all. The elders who were secretly watching. Some furrowed their brows. Some looked down to discuss. Someone sighed deeply towards the sky. Could the test be wrong? How is that possible? This method is extremely accurate. Besides, we have been keeping an eye on it all along. Cheating is difficult. But then, how do you explain his previous performance and talent? Young people with higher aptitude from Origin C will indeed demonstrate characteristics that surpass ordinary people, such as intelligence, insight, memory power, and agility. However, conversely, these characteristics do not necessarily mean that aptitude is always high. Everything still needs to be based on test results to determine. The clan leader sighed deeply. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Moon Clan is getting worse with each generation. The icy river water soaked the socks. It was so cold that it felt a bit bone-chilling. Levi continued to walk expressionlessly. The distance was getting closer. He could clearly see the solemn expressions of the academy elders. He could keenly sense the gazes from hundreds of young people. The exact same situation made Levi involuntarily think of his past life. At that time, he felt like the sky was falling. He slipped and fell while crossing the river. He was drenched and disoriented. But not a single person helped him. The disappointment and indifference in those expressions and eyes. It's like knives cutting into one's own heart. Thoughts are in chaos. There is a dull ache in the chest. It's as if falling from the clouds to the ground. The higher you stand, the harder you fall. But in this lifetime, facing such a scene again, Levi's heart is unexpectedly calm. He thought of that legend. When dilemma arrives, one should entrust their heart to hope. Now this hope is within oneself. Although this hope is not great, it is already better than those who have no cultivating aptitude. Others are disappointed because of this. Let them be disappointed. What else can be done? Others' disappointment has nothing to do with me. What's important is to keep hope in our hearts. 500 years of life has helped him understand one truth. The splendor of a person's life lies in the process of pursuing their own dreams. There is no need to demand that others not feel disappointed or like us. Walk your own path. Let others feel disappointed and not like it. I am just a fish in the river of time. but I am a fish that wants to swim against the current. Perhaps that is the difference." Academy Elder sighed deeply and shouted, "Next one. Moon Liam." Liam broke free from the shock and hurried out. Unfortunately, he stumbled and fell headlong. With a splash, he happened to tumble into the river. This immediately triggered a burst of laughter around. Moon Clan leader snorted. Moon Liam also felt a sense of annoyance. The Fong family brothers were nothing special. Liam struggled and floundered in the river for a few moments. This was really embarrassing. At that moment, he suddenly felt a strong force pulling him. His head finally emerged from the water. His body regained its balance. He took another look and realized that it was his brother Levi, who was lifting him up by the collar. He opened his mouth to speak, only to be met with a mouthful of water, resulting in a fit of intense coughing. There were people on the shore laughing out loud. The Fong family's troublesome siblings. The laughter grew louder. Even the Academy Elder didn't step forward to stop it. But just when Liam was at a loss, he heard his brother's voice in his ear. "Go. The future road will be very exciting." Very quickly, a week passed. In the academy of the village, the Academy Elder was talking eloquently. Man is the spirit of all things. In this world, there are thousands of different forms of goo with various forms. The places of existence are also diverse. They may be in the earth and mines, in the grass, and even inside wild beasts. They have birds and beasts, flowers, plants, insects, and snakes. They also have gold, silver, jade, and other precious stones, even ghosts, demons, and spirits. All the special lives formed by the essence of the heavens and the earth are goo. In the process of human reproduction and multiplication, our ancestors gradually discovered the mysteries of goo worms. They have opened empty apertures and used their true origin to nourish, refine, and control these goo for various purposes. We collectively refer to such individuals as goo masters. In the awakening ceremony 7 days ago, all of you have successfully opened empty apertures, condensed the true origin C, and have now become first enhanced goo masters. At this moment, a young man raised his hand. After receiving permission from the elder, he stood up and asked, "I have known since I was very young that goo masters are categorized into first enhance, second enhance, and so on. Could you please explain this to us in detail?" The Moon Master nodded and waved his hand, signaling the young man to sit down. The Goo Master has a total of 9 major realms, namely from bottom to top: first enhance, second enhance, third enhance, up to 9th enhance. Within each enhance realm, there are further divisions into beginner, intermediate, advanced levels, and pinnacle. When you just become Goo Masters, you are all at the first enhance, beginner level. However, if you work hard on cultivating, your skills will naturally improve. Advancing to second enhance and third enhance is also possible. Of course, the higher your aptitude, the greater the likelihood of promotion. Grade 4 Aptitude. When the origin C occupies about 20 to 30% of the empty aperture, often reaches the highest level of cultivation at the first enhance or second enhance. With Grade 3 Aptitude, when the origin C occupies 40 to 50% of the empty aperture, one typically stops at the second enhance realm, with only a small fraction managing to break through to the third enhance beginner level. Grade 2 Aptitude, when the origin C occupies 60 to 70% of the empty aperture, can achieve cultivation up to the third enhance or even fourth enhance. Grade 1 Aptitude, when the origin C is abundant, occupying 80 to 90% of the empty aperture. Individuals with such aptitude possess the highest natural talent and are best suited for Goo Master cultivation, able to reach the 5th enhance level. Youngsters are all ears and eager to learn when hearing about it. As for the 6th enhance, every upward Goo Master is a legend. I'm not very clear on the specifics. In our Moon Clan, we have not seen a 6th enhance Goo Master, but we have had 5th enhance and 4th enhance Goo Masters. Many people couldn't help but look at Moon Liam, who was sitting upright in the first row. That's Grade 1 Aptitude. Their eyes were filled with envy and jealousy. At the same time, some glances drifted towards the corner in the last row of the academy. In the corner by the window, Moon Levi was sound asleep with his head resting on the desk. Someone twisted their mouth. Look! Still sleeping. He has been sleeping for a week in a row. Still hasn't recovered. More than that. I heard he doesn't come home at night. He roams around the outskirts of the village. Some people have seen him more than once. At night, he was drunk outside hugging a wine barrel. Fortunately, in recent years, the area around the village has been cleared, making it relatively safe. The crackdown was indeed severe. He relied on the reputation of being a genius for so many years. Unexpectedly, in the end, he was just a grade 3. It would have been fine if it had ended there. It's just that his younger brother was tested as a grade 1, and now enjoys the best treatment in the limelight. Listening to the increasingly loud discussion around him, the eyebrows of the academy elder have already knotted into a lump. A week has passed, and he still looks so dispirited. I really misjudged him at the beginning. How could such a person be a genius? Elder coldly snorted in dissatisfaction. Forget it. He can't even withstand such a blow, even if he is only a grade 3. Such temperament cultivated like this is not worthy of great use. Instead, it is a waste of the family's resources. Academy elder continued to ponder, while speaking again about the previous topic. Many strong individuals have appeared in the history of the clan. Among them, there are 2 5th Enhance experts. One is our founding ancestor, the first-generation clan leader, who established Moon Mountain Village. The other is an outstanding talent who rose to the realm of 5th Enhance Master, being the 4th-generation clan leader. If it weren't for the despicable and shameless villain, the pleasure-seeking wanderer, launching a sneak attack, perhaps he could have advanced to become a 6th Enhance Master, who knows? The young people in the audience were all filled with righteous indignation and shouted out. They all felt that the pleasure-seeking wanderer was too cunning and treacherous. It's a pity that our 4th-generation clan leader, who was kind-hearted and passed away at a young age. I regret not being born a few hundred years earlier. Otherwise, I would have fought to expose that villain's ugly face even at the cost of my life.